Greetings adventurers, Dan here. I've set up a lovely whiteboard for you to watch me play. I'm going to run through the rules on combat because it's been made clear to me that it's not very clear in the rulebook. This is entirely my fault and I apologise unreservedly. So here we have Erin Bloodborn. She's going to be our hero for the scenario. We have the start room here, a little lava bridge connecting her to the Great Hall. The Great Hall has 6 spawn points on it. So let's go ahead and place Erin in the start room. You can go ahead and place her in any of the 9 squares you like. There we are. Here is Erin's character card. On Erin's character card you will see on the left we have a sword with 2 dice. This is the amount of dice she uses to attack. And here we have a shield with, again, 2 dice. This is how many dice she uses to defend. So Erin Bloodborn, and indeed all of the 5 characters, when they start, before you find equipment, etc., will attack with 2 dice and defend with 2 dice. So I'll pop her character card there. This is Erin's action and health point counters. So because she's starting the scenario now, the first thing we're going to do is roll 2d6 for her starting health. Roll those here. And she has 6, so we pop the little cube there for her health point. She starts on 6, and then we're going to roll for her action points. 11 action points. Wow, that is a lot of action points. Okay, so she's got 11 action points. So the first thing she's going to do is she's going to move into the room. Now she can't move into a room with spawn points without pausing here on the lava bridge, the central point that connects this room to that point. So she's going to use 1, 2 action points, so we're going to mark those, so she's got 9 left. And now what she's going to do, she's going to roll a single d6 to populate up to 6 enemies in this room. So we're going to roll 1d6, 5, all 5 enemies. Okay, here we go. So in the order that they're pulled from the top of the well shuffled enemy pile, we have Skeletal Bowman number 1. He attacks with 2 dice and defends with 1 dice. He also has a single health point. The second of the 5 enemies we've just spawned is Skeleton number 5. Skeleton number 5 attacks with 2 dice and defends with 1 dice, like the Bowman. But he, or she, has 2 health points. Next comes Goblin number 4. Goblin number 4 is the weakest enemy in the Gorgon's Loch and attacks and defends with a single d6 and has a single health point. Excuse the shadows, guys, I've made this setup quite swiftly. Here the 4th enemy of the 5 is Harpy number 3. Harpy number 3 attacks with 2 dice and defends with 2 dice. So we're going to pop that there. The Harpy is quite a powerful enemy and has 1, 2, 3 health points. The 5th and final enemy for this test scenario is Queensguard number 3. Queensguard number 3 attacks with 3d6 and defends with 2d6. A very powerful enemy, and like the Harpy, also has 3 health points. There we go, so let's populate them. The first one out was Skeletal Bowman number 1. So here's Skeletal Bowman number 1, and they're going to arrive on spawn point number 1 because they were the first one spawned. The second is Skeleton number 3, so here comes the skeleton. He's going to arrive, you guessed it, on spawn point number 2. Next comes Goblin number 4, on spawn point number 3 is the 3rd enemy spawned. Then we've got Harpy number 3, and Harpy number 3 is going to arrive here on spawn point number 4. And finally we've got Queensguard number 3, who's going to arrive on spawn point number 5. Now, Erin has 9 action points left, so she's going to use them to race into the room and attack. Now you guys could use them to run away. As soon as she leaves this lava bridge here, she's now only in this room, and she could use her remaining action points to search, to move around, to generally prepare for the battle that's to come. but because this is a combat tutorial, we're going to go flying in, all swords are blazing. So she's got 9 action points remaining, so what she's going to do first, she's going to move 1, 2, 3 squares in, leaving her with 8, 7, 6 action points, and she's going to take the first of her 4 allowed attacks per turn. So her first attack is going to be attacking goblin number 4, who's here. So, as we know from her character card, Erin attacks with 2d6, and she rolls a 6. Now, this is survivable. Even though the goblin only defends with a single d6, again, we've got the defense statistics from the goblin from its enemy card, it can roll a 6 and survive this attack. So it's going to roll 1d6, but it only rolls a 2. So the difference is 4, so you've done 4 damage to the goblin. The goblin only has a single health point, so the goblin is dead. So we take its health counter off, we take its card off and place it to the bottom of the enemy pile, and we take its standee off because it's dead. That was Erin's first attack, so instead of 6 action points, she now only has 5. Her second attack is going to be here, because she's both the goblin and the harpy were in the 8 squares that surround her. There's no difference between diagonally attacking and adjacent and perpendicular attacking, so she can go ahead and attack the harpy now, and that's what she's going to do. The attack is 2d6. We get that from Erin's attack statistics on her card, and the harpy defends with 2d6. So this is a very equal battle. Here it comes. And she scores a 7. So her first attack, using 1 action point, scores 7. The harpy defends that against that 7 with its 2 defense dice, and scores 9. The difference is -2. There is no counter-attack mechanic, but because the enemy has scored more than the attacker, the attack has failed. Erin now has 2 attacks remaining of her allowed 4, even though she's got more action points. So she's going to attack that harpy again. This time scores 7 again. Oops, sorry, dice just off screen there. And the harpy's going to defend and scores a 4. The difference is 3 in Erin Bloodborn's favour. So we go to the harpy number 3 card. It has 3 health points remaining only, so the harpy has now been killed. So we take all the health points off, we take the harpy card and pop it to the bottom of the enemy pile, and we remove the harpy's standee. That was her third attack. So now Erin has 3 action points remaining, a single attack if she wants to, because she killed the goblin with the first attack, she failed to injure the harpy on the second attack, and then she killed the harpy on the third attack. So she's only got 1 attack left, and she's only got 3 action points left. So what she's going to do, she's going to use those action points to move 1, 2, to get herself diagonal with the Queen's Guard. 1, 2, and with her single remaining action point, she's going to attack the Queen's Guard with 2d6. Looking at the Queen's Guard's enemy card here, although it attacks with 3d6, it only defends with 2, and right now it's being attacked by a character. So it's the character turn, it's the final action point, and she's going to attack the Queen's Guard. And she scores 6. So now the Queen's Guard has to defend against that with its 2 defensive dice, and it scores 5. So the difference is 1. So Erin has done 1 point of damage to the Queen's Guard, so we remove 1 of these health points, leaving it with 2. She's used all her action points, and that's the end of the character turn. So now the enemy turn begins. How do we ascertain which order the enemies go in? It's the order in which they were spawned, if indeed they survive. So the first surviving enemy is Skeletal Bowman number 1. Now Skeletal Bowman number 1 is here, and although he's not, or he or she is not directly next to the character, because he's a bowman, as long as he's got line of sight, he can attack. So the Skeletal Bowman is now going to attack Erin. Looking at the Skeletal Bowman's card, it attacks with 2d6. So the Skeletal Bowman attacks Erin with 6. Erin defends with her 2 defensive dice and scores 7, so she's fine. So she survived that attack. The enemies only attack once per turn, So now we move on to the next enemy spawned, which was skeleton number 3. Now skeleton number 3 is here, and if you have a look at the skeleton's card, if I can just move that over here, here's the skeleton's card, and right here in the top right you'll see the skeleton's movement, and this skeleton's movement is 3. It can move 3 squares. An enemy doesn't have to use all its movement. All it has to do is use as much of its movement it needs in order to get into an attack position. So skeleton number 3 is here and is going to move 1, 2, and that's all it needs to be right next to Erin, and now it's going to perform its attack. Skeleton number 5, I can't quite read the card over the lights. Skeleton number 5 is now going to attack Erin with its attack, which is 2d6, and scores 10. That's a big attack. So now Erin's going to defend against that 10 with her 2 defensive dice, and scores 4. 10 versus 4, the difference is 6. Erin only has 6 health points remaining. As a result, Erin is killed. In this scenario, you would take one of her death counters, put them back on the pile, one of the 3 death counters you're given at the start of each dungeon. You would place Erin here, ready to rejoin the dungeon as an unwilling gladiator to be reincarnated, and all of the stuff that you collected while searching you would place to the bottom of the search pile. And that's it for Erin. However, in this scenario, let's go ahead and give her another chance. So I'm going to pop her right here, and we're going to give her 3 health points, and we're going to let the Queen's Guard have a go at her too, because after skeleton number 5 has killed her, if there was another character in the room, the next enemy's turn would be the Queen's Guard number 3, and Queen's Guard number 3 would then move towards its nearest player character. Do you see? So now we've reincarnated Erin miraculously back into the same room. So now the Queen's Guard number 3 is going to move toward Erin. The Queen's Guard's movement in the top right of its card is 6. It's not going to need anywhere near that because a simple 1, 2 will get it within striking distance of Erin. And now it's going to attack with 3d6. And it scores 11. 5, a 4 and a 2. So 11 is another very powerful attack. Erin doesn't have any other defensive stuff to happen, doesn't have any defensive scrolls or anything else that she can use, which would use 1 action point at a time. So what she's going to do is she's going to roll her 2 and hope to get somewhere near 11, if not 12. And she gets 7. The difference is 4. We graciously gave her 3 health points, so Erin once more is killed, and will await the next character turn to come back into the dungeon. She'll return all of her things to the bottom of the search pile, she'll remove another death counter. Okay, so now all the enemies that are spawned have used up their turn, they've used up their attacks. Now it's the character turn again. So because Erin is rejoining the dungeon, the first thing she does is she rolls 2d6 for her starting health, which this time is 7. And then she rolls 2d6 for her action points for her turn. This time she gets 5. So we'll start her right here at the edge of the lava bridge. She can move over the lava bridge now without having to repopulate this room because there's already enemies in it. You only populate empty rooms as you approach them, if indeed that empty room has spawn points. So she's got 5 action points, so she's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, leaving herself with a single action point, and then she's going to attack the Queen's Guard that just killed her with 2d6 and score 7. The Queen's Guard defends with 2 and it scores 9, so it's fine. So again, Erin has failed to kill the Queen's Guard. So now it's the enemy turn. We have 3 enemies remaining, and the order in which they were spawned is the Skeletal Bowman first. So the Skeletal Bowman still has line of sight, so the Skeletal Bowman attacks Erin Bloodborn with 2d6, scoring 7. She defends, scoring 10, so she's fine again. Now this skeleton, skeleton number 5, needs to move a single square in order to be able to attack Erin, then does so with 2d6, scoring 6. Erin defends and scores 7, so again she's fine. Now she's fine. Now her old nemesis, the Queen's Guard, attacks her 3d6 and scores, look at that, 11 again. Erin goes to defend and scores 7. The difference is 4, but she has 7 health points. 1, 2, 3, 4. She's injured, but she's still got 3 health points remaining. That is the end of the enemy turn. So now it starts again with Erin. So the first thing Erin's going to do is she's going to roll for action points. Sorry, I've left that on 1 there. That was her single attack. Do you remember last turn? So here comes Erin's action points. 8. With 8 action points, the first thing she's going to do is attack the Queen's Guard because she's toe-to-toe with it. So a single attack on the Queen's Guard. Scoring 6. The Queen's Guard defends. Scoring 6. It's fine. Erin attacks him again. This time scoring 5. He defends. This time scoring 10. He's fine. Her third attack is 7. Third defence is 7. So the Queen's Guard is fine. And the fourth and final allowed attack is 2. Of course it's going to defend against Snake Eyes, but I'm going to roll it anyway. 9. So all 4 of her attacks were totally ineffective. She now has 3 action points remaining, and she's going to use those action points to 1, 2, 3, run away. Now here's an interesting point. Because she's run away onto the lava bridge, if she had extra action points now, she wouldn't be able to search, because if you're standing on a lava bridge, you count as being in both board rooms. And if there's enemies in either of those board rooms when you're standing on a lava bridge, you cannot search. So she's used up all 3 of her action points, she's tried to run away and failed, now it's the enemy turn again. First one is the Skeletal Bowman, and yes, still has line of sight. So the Skeletal Bowman attacks Erin. 4, Erin defends. With 8, so again she defends against the Skeletal Bowman. Skeleton number 2 has a movement of 3 and requires 1, 2, 3, all of them to diagonally attack her, and does so. With 10, that's huge. The skeleton attacks Erin with 10, Erin defends. Oops, that's fallen off the desk, so I'll re-roll that, but we do have a 6, that's a good start. And a 3, 9, so the difference is 1. The skeleton takes a single health point off Erin. Now it's the turn of the Queen's Guard. From the top right hand corner of the Queen's Guard's card, we know it's got a movement of 6 if it needs it. It doesn't need all 6, it needs 1, 2, 3 to be able to go toe to toe with Erin on the lava bridge. In comes its 3d6 attack. Wow. And scores 12. Erin goes to defend. Of course, she needs really to score a 12 or she's going to be savagely injured. And she scores a 12, look at that! So, that's the end of the enemy turn. Erin holds on for yet another turn. Fantastic. So now, that's the enemy turn complete. Back we go to the character turn. It's Erin Bloodborn to throw for her action points for this round. 7. She has 7 action points. What is she going to do with them? Well, she's got no real choice here but to keep attacking, so she's going to attack the Queen's Guard in front of her and scores 5. It defends and scores 9. Her second allowed attack, she scores 6. The defence is 8. It's fine. The third allowed attack on the Queen's Guard is 5. Its defence 9. Erin's final attack is 11. That's more like it, Erin. And the Queen's Guard's final defence against 11 is... it's 8. The difference is 3, and because of the health point she took off it previously, it's now only got 2 left. So she's done 3 damage, it's got 2 health points left, the Queen's Guard is dead. Now, the card goes to the bottom of the enemy pile, the hearts go back in the hearts pile, the standee is removed to fight again another day. And Erin has 3 action points left now, but she's attacked 4 times, which means that she can't attack again. So what she needs to do with these 3 is to perhaps get far enough away from the skeleton, perhaps get out of the view of the Skeletal Bowman. However, this is a combat tutorial, so she's going to go flying in hell for leather. 1, 2, 3. So she's going to stand herself right in the centre of the room in a rather foolish move, if you ask me. So that's all 3 action points. It's now the enemy turn again. We've got 2 enemies left in the room, the Skeletal Bowman and a skeleton. The Skeletal Bowman is right here, doesn't need to move this 1 square to get next to her because he's a bowman, and he's going to attack. 2d6. Scoring 6. Erin defends and scores 4. The difference is 2, and as you can see, she only has 2 health. This means that Erin Bloodborn has been killed for the 3rd time in this scenario. In a real live scenario, she would have removed the last of her death counters, and she would wait here to be reincarnated 1 final time as a mortal. If she's killed a 4th time, it's all over and she has to wait out for her other adventurers to complete the scenario before she joins them at the start of the next, or for her other adventurers to be defeated, and then she can join them at the start of their next attempt at this one. So I hope that's explained combat for you. I will be creating a PDF to make combat much clearer. Of course, in a normal scenario, when Erin was here on her own in the room and there was no enemies here in the room and she wasn't on the lava bridge, she would have been searching through a search pile, looking for health potions, looking for weapons, looking for ranged weapons, looking for armour, looking for magical scrolls she could use. She might have tried to activate her specialist skill, which is to teleport from one board piece to another. All of these aspects come into the Gorgon's Loch using the storm system, but there's definitely quite the omission in the rulebook about how combat works. So I do hope that's explained it to you, adventurers. If you require any further clarification between now and when I get that PDF created and sent out to you all, please do not hesitate to get in touch. I am at your command. So thank you very much. This is Adventurer Dan signing out, and yeah, I hope that covered all the bases.